beautiful Nomies, and good morning. I'm so happy to see you today, and I hope that you are doing well. I hope that your families are doing well, and I hope that you are having a good week. It's Wednesday, so we are halfway through the week today. You've made it up the hill. Now you just have to coast down into the rest of the week. So today is WIP Wednesday, so I am going to be picking back up my cardinal WIP that I was working on. Now that I finished the Cupid gnome yesterday, I went ahead and picked up one of the other gnomes that I had been working on for this month as like one of my gnomes of the month. And then today I'm going to be working on the cardinal, so just kind of picking my WIPs back up and picking up where I left off. So this is what I have for the cardinal so far. This is all attached now. I believe the last I showed you, I didn't have this attached yet. So here is kind of the body of the cardinal. And I did end up doubling this. I think the last I talked to you guys, I was making a little single crochet panel to attach to the back of this because I wanted it to be more thick and like malleable. And I was debating on whether or not to put a pipe cleaner in here. And I did end up putting a pipe cleaner in here, and I did end up crocheting a panel and attaching it to the back of this. So now it is formable and nice and thick and malleable. So, you know, you can really like keep it in its shape. And like I said, it's a little bit shapeable too. Because the pipe cleaner doesn't give quite as much control as a piece of wire would, since it's a really thin piece of wire compared to the wire that I use. But you don't need that much control because it's not like you're trying to, like, you know, bend this in half, which you probably could, at least sort of. But it's more so that you can get a nice tail shape. You just kind of do that, and then boom. So I am super happy with that so far. I'm excited to work on this. It is almost done. I have one wing done. I need to make the other wing. And then I think I just have the face left to do and the feet left to do after that. So got to get this bad boy on there, and then it's going to start to really be coming together. Link is over here. Oh, there he is. I was going to say, I'm sure he's going to jump up here. Hello. Would you like to say hello to the people? Would you like to say hello to the people? Today I am drinking some cinnamon roll coffee, and Link is like, ooh, what's that? And I'm not drinking any creamer in it this morning. I need to buy some more cream. Hello. Wow, he's like, what is this coffee? He's trying to moon you. Lincoln, don't go over there. There is no room for you. Anyways, so apart from my WIPs, oh no. Kitty, get your butt out of here. Here, go up on the back of the chair. Apart from my WIPs, I got tagged yesterday. This is life, you guys. He scratches up the back of my chair. I like mildly don't, I tell him no, but he's already scratched it up so much at this point. I'm like, you know what? If he wants to scratch it up a little bit, he really enjoys it, and he doesn't understand that he's damaging my chair. But regardless, he's already scratched it up so much. When it wasn't scratched up at all, I tried to keep him from scratching it up, but I don't really mind at the same time. So anyways, I got tagged in this Spring Fling 2023 questions and creator tag. So I got tagged by Bee's Crafty Corner. Oh, I'm drinking out of my Fur Mama mug too. It's really early, so don't mind me. Not as early as it was yesterday, though, when I was filming. So, question number 1. What do you like to do in the spring that you can't do at other times of year? I don't know. Well, I really like flowers, so seeing like the flowers in bloom and like more so not in Texas, but like in Michigan, it's like spring feels really nice. Like, like a nice dewy morning with the sun rising and the flowers. Like going out and looking at all the flowers, maybe watering the flowers in the morning. But then also it's allergy season, so it's kind of a win and a lose situation as far as that goes. I don't think there's really anything I do in the spring that I can't do at other times of the year. Are there things that you can do in the spring that you can't do other times of year other than like plants? I have a feeling these questions will be a lot about plants. Well, I mean, I know that they're all about spring and somewhat about plants. I did already skim the questions, and I already obviously watched her video and saw the questions, but I also sort of forgot them already. So I'm like, I know that some of them are about plants. But anyway, let me know in the comments, do you guys do something in the spring that you can't do other times of year? I'm really curious if there is like things I'm not thinking of. Number 2, what is your favorite springtime flower? My favorite flower is an Asiatic lily. I love Asiatic lilies. They are so beautiful. I have had Asiatic lilies most of my adult life. Before moving I moved to Texas when I was 18, and then I had Asiatic lilies. Probably not for the first few years where I was kind of like bouncing around and trying to figure out what we were doing. But once we got into our apartment that we kept for like 4 years before moving back to Michigan, I had a balcony and I had Asiatic lilies. And I know a balcony might sound fancy depending on what the apartments are like in your area, but that's just like how the apartments are in this area. It was just a little 1-bedroom apartment. They mostly have like balconies or like little enclosed porches if you're downstairs, and that's like your outside area. It's not as fancy as it sounds. I know where I come from in Michigan, if I heard you had a balcony on your apartment, I'd be like, are you rich? You're rich. No, not in this area. That's just like all the apartments in this area are pretty much the same. There are like almost all of them basically look exactly the same inside too. It's actually kind of sad because I wish there was a little more variety, but well, a little more variety in my price range. There's bougie apartments, but I can't afford those. But yeah, so I had Asiatic lilies on my balcony, and I had Asiatic lilies that I kept alive for years and years. It started out with one Asiatic lily, but one of my favorite things about Asiatic lilies, and probably just lilies in general, is propagating, I think is the word. If you have lilies, they will create little baby bulbs around them, and if you go into the soil every once in a while and separate them up, put them in their own pots with dirt, usually I put a few together if they're really small, you can create like an infinite lily farm. And after I moved to Michigan, our apartment there, which I loved our apartment there, I miss it so much. It was more like a little, it would be more like what I would think of as like a condo, because it reminded me more of a house. Instead of there being like a big complex with upstairs, because like my apartments here, they're all like big complex buildings with like upstairs and downstairs, and they're really big. There it was like no upstairs. The apartment that I had, of course they have complexes too. There were no upstairs, and then they were just like, there would be 4 apartments on one side of the building and 4 on the other, and then obviously there was a bunch of buildings, like, but there was 8 apartments in each like building. In these buildings, I don't even know how many apartments there are. A lot. There's at least 8 on my side of this building. But yeah, and this complex I'm in is huge. It's definitely the biggest one I've been in. But anyway, you have a yard. You have like a little fenced in like patio, but you also have like a little yard. And like your own little like sidewalk leading up to your apartment, your own little stoop. I'll try to put a picture in actually so you guys can like see what I'm talking about. But I loved that apartment. I miss it. And I had washer and dryer hookups, which these apartments don't. A lot of the apartments in this area don't have washer and dryer hookups, which is like so crappy. But anyway, at that apartment, I had a little yard. And then, so over the course of time, every summer, I got like more lilies. And I got really into like doing my plants there because it was the first time I ever had a yard. Because I've always just had upstairs apartments. So I was working on trying to like get every type of lily that I could possibly find, Asiatic lily, because there are like a lot of different color variations. So I probably had like 7 different color variations of Asiatic lilies. And I also had Oriental lilies, which are like really big Asiatic lilies. Basically, they're so pretty. And like I said, I will try to insert some pictures if I can find pictures of my garden. And if I can, then they'll be over here. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to, though. But I loved that so much. And then, of course, when we moved in the winter. It was literally like snowing and icy, and there was no way to go dig up my plants. So I had to leave all of my lilies behind. So sad. I'll never be over that. But I actually, the last summer before I left, the last summer in that apartment, I went through and spent a painstaking like weekend digging up my lilies and getting the propagations. I had some like big planters that I had put lilies in. I had lilies everywhere. It was pretty awesome. What is your favorite thing about spring is number 3. The like feeling of everything coming back to life for the season, or for the year. I actually really love the seasons. And I know this just sounds like I'm just like absolutely crapping all over Texas, but that is one thing in the area of Texas that I live in that I do like miss is we don't have seasons here. Now, I don't want to say they don't have seasons in Texas because Texas is a really big state, and I know some areas of Texas do get more seasons and like do get winter and stuff like that, but we really don't here. Like it can get cold, especially in like recent years we've gotten like cold snaps, which I think we weren't used to, which is why we had the issues with everybody's power going out like for days and people died and all this stuff. Like it was crazy. I don't know if you guys heard about that. But for the most part, like, okay, it's February 15th right now at 5:20 in the morning. It is 66 degrees out, according to my Alexa. So it's 66 degrees out at 5:20 in the morning. And February, at least in Michigan, is still one of the coldest months of the year. So that kind of gives you an idea of the way that the seasons are here. But honestly, the thing is, we don't really get like a spring and a fall, like a definitive spring and a fall. It feels more like it's summer all the time. And then winter is kind of like a little bit more like a fall or a spring, but it can still be hot. Like some days it'll be like, oh yeah, it's actually going to be almost 90 today. Like it really depends. We do get like some milder weather, when it would be like winter. So yeah, that wasn't what my favorite thing about spring is, though. That was a tangent. My favorite thing about spring is like I love the feeling of everything coming back to life. Like it's a very like restorative time. But I also really love fall, and I also really love winter. My least favorite season is summer. My favorite season is actually winter. But yeah, so I really like that feeling of like everything was dormant, and then everything's coming back to life and waking up. It's like I said, it's a very restorative kind of feeling. And after the like seasonal depression of it being dark and cold and, you know, winter wears on you, it's so refreshing when spring rolls around. Like you really like when you experience all 4 seasons, you really get excited for each season, or at least I do. Number 4, what is the weather like in your area? Well, I kind of already just touched on that. I live on the Gulf, of Mexico. So we experience different weather than maybe some other areas of Texas do. It is usually hot. Most of the time it's like in the 80s or 90s. I don't really like go outside. I'm not an outdoorsy person to begin with, but I also am not I don't like hot weather. I don't like to be hot. I'm allergic to the sun, and I sunburn super easy, and I get sun rashes, and so I just don't really go outside. But it is beautiful. I will say that. I don't want it to be like all negative. We get like green. Like Michigan will never like see the type of green that we get because our stuff doesn't dye that much. So we get like really vivid greens, at least in my area, which is like my town or city is actually has like a rule for if a business comes in and has to take down trees to put their business in, they have to plant a tree for every tree that they took out somewhere on their property. So our city is super beautiful. It's like trees, so many beautiful trees everywhere. Also, one of my favorite things, I know this wasn't like really about the weather, but one of my favorite things about living in this type of a climate is I get to see palm trees. For me, palm trees were like, we went to Florida a few times as a kid, as you know, different points in my childhood for vacations, and palm trees were something I geeked out over. I had never seen them. I thought they were so cool. They, to me, were like very exotic and very like paradise kind of a vibe. And so seeing palm trees, I still get excited. We have palm trees in my area because, like I said, we're on the Gulf, especially when you get closer to the water, because the ocean is literally just one town over. So it's like, 15-20 minute drive. And as you get closer over to that direction, you see a lot more palm trees. And there's certain areas you can drive through that have like really beautiful palm trees, like where they planted them to line the road. And I'm always like, oh, look at the palm trees every time we drive through there, which I think my husband thinks is really funny because we literally live here and have lived here like, cumulatively quite a long time. I should be used to them, but like I didn't grow up with them, so my mind is always still going to be excited for palm trees. Number 5. When do you start your garden if you have one? Well, I currently don't have one. After we moved here, I brought some plants with me, and it's actually so sad. So I had some succulents, and I had kept those alive, which, like, not that succulents are known for being hard to keep alive, but I kept them alive during the move. And that was a drive from Michigan to Texas. It was like multiple days of driving, and it was in the summer, so they got heat scorched. They didn't get as heat scorched as I had some propagated like leaves. I can't think of, they're not pothos. I had some pothos that my sister had propagated for me, and I had those in like mason jars with like the little rocks things in them and water, which I also kept alive even though they got sun scorched. I babied them back to life. I like trimmed away the dead parts, and I replaced their water all the time and everything, and I brought them back to life. And then they ended up dying. I'm not really sure why they died, but they did. My succulents I had in Michigan on my desk, and they were just little succulents, but I got them at a plant nursery with my sister, her and my brother-in-law and Caleb, and my nephew. We went. Did my nephew go? Yeah, my nephew went. We went and spent like a day going to plant nurseries. It was so fun. It was super fun. I wish I could do that again. And I got some succulents during that, and this was after I had moved out of my apartment, so I didn't have my lilies anymore, so I was really missing them. And I got those, and I had them on my desk, and that was probably like, I probably had them there for like 4 months. And then when we moved, I brought them with me, and I somehow managed to keep them alive. And I put them in the window at my in-laws' house. We were there for a month while we got our apartment and got all sorted. And then I brought them here, and then I actually put them outside on my porch, and they were thriving. They absolutely thrived on the porch. They like exploded. They were propagating, and they were growing big, and they were beautiful. And I've literally had them this whole time. It was like a year and a half. And they never got wet on the porch. So I would water them periodically because you don't water succulents that often. And we live in a humid climate, so they would like suck up the humidity and stuff too. Well, I don't know what happened, but after a year and a half of living here and them never getting wet on the porch, they randomly got super, super, super wet on the porch. And we have like a really big overhang, and that's why like our porch doesn't get wet when it rains. Even when it storms and like the wind is like pushing the rain in, they didn't really get that wet. But yeah, I don't know what happened. We had some storms, but like, I don't know why randomly these storms brought the water onto the porch, or maybe some neighbor thought they were like doing a nice thing or something and came and watered them. But I went outside, and I don't go outside every day at all. So I went outside to go somewhere, and I was like, whoa, why are my plants dead? They were like swimming in water. Like, you can't overwater succulents. They don't need that much water. They were like swimming in water. I don't know what happened. They had drainage and everything too, because when you water them, you give them like a nice good drink. I don't know. I really don't know what happened, but they were just like swimming in water and they were dead. I was so sad. I left them for like a couple of weeks, like hoping they would like, I don't know, somehow dry out and revive, but they were dead. So like a couple days ago, I took them out of there. They were so dead. I'm gonna have to get new ones. But what was the question again? Oh yeah, when do you start your garden if you have one? And I do also have a little rose bush that's potted on my porch. That was a Mother's Day present from my little brother 2 years ago. And I've just been keeping that potted, which in Texas I keep all of my plants potted. Honestly, I prefer potted plants. I like the control I have over the plants when they're in pots versus in the ground. It's easier to manage. But I probably this summer or the spring will be transplanting that into a bigger pot. And I have kept that alive during the move and since we've been here. But yeah, so my goal for this year, I would like to get some lilies and transplant my rose bush. At some point, I would like to get some more succulents also. Number 6, do you celebrate Easter? By celebrate, it depends on what you mean. We don't really do anything for Easter. We did like, okay, well, no, we do stuff for Easter. Okay, Caleb and I specifically don't do things for Easter. Easter is more of like a family thing to me or to us. So when we lived in Texas before, and his grandparents would host Easter, we would all go out. They had like, there was this place that they kept like a trailer that like was like a park and all this stuff, and they could invite people out there. They had like crab catching piers and stuff, and the guys would do that, and then like everybody else would just like hang out, and like they would just do like whatever for Easter. And then in Michigan, we would always dye eggs together. I love dyeing Easter eggs. I actually dyed Easter eggs last year. And I will insert a picture over here if I can find it. I think I can find that one actually. I'm pretty sure I put it on Facebook. But I did gnome Easter eggs last year. But we would always paint eggs together. And that would be like the day before Easter or so. And then the Easter bunny would hide the Easter eggs the night of Easter, and then Easter Day we would go hunt for the Easter eggs and for our Easter baskets. And actually we were still doing that when I lived in Michigan. My mom would still hide the Easter eggs and hide the Easter baskets. And so that was super fun. So that's the way that we celebrate Easter. Number 7, do you crochet or knit anything special for spring? I have not. I've only been crocheting for one spring so far. So this will be my second spring that I was actually crocheting. And I did not crochet anything special for spring. And I honestly don't know if I will crochet. Well, okay, if you count Easter as like spring, I did actually crochet stuff for spring. I crocheted bunnies. And I crocheted a chick, actually, which I don't know where that is. My husband claimed it immediately, and I have no idea where he put it. So it's somewhere in the house. Yeah, so I guess Easter stuff. Number 8, what is your favorite spring color? I love pastels, but honestly, I love like all colors, so it depends on when you ask me. I'll be like, pastels are my favorite, and then like other times it's like vivid, deep, like rich colors are my favorite. So yeah, I really love pastels though. My favorite colors, this is one of my favorite colors. I love like a mint blue or like a teal. I love pink. My favorite like color combinations, I really love like white, a like minty blue, and like a pastel pink. I think they look so pretty together. Number 9, do you do spring cleaning? Yes, I do. It looks different every year. Sometimes I go like all out, other times I don't. Growing up, we went like balls to the wall, cleaning all the time. We were very like, we cleaned way too much. We had Sunday, like every Sunday was basically spring cleaning. We had, each of the kids had a chore list, that literally took the whole entire Sunday. Like cleaning, like, you know, whatever rooms that you had to do like the baseboards. Like we like deep cleaned every single Sunday. And then Wednesday we did like a more mild version of the cleaning, but like we always did like the sweeping, the mopping, the baseboards, like all that type of stuff. We just cleaned like way too much. So I have like kind of like PTSD about cleaning. And I know that probably is like not okay to say. I'm sorry for people. I have PTSD about things too, so I don't know. I was gonna say, I'm sorry for people with PTSD, but I do have actual PTSD about things, but getting off on a tangent. I'm like distracting myself. But yes, I do spring clean. But I also don't like to spring clean sometimes. So it just depends how it looks each year. I do like to be able to like do that feeling of spring cleaning. Like I told you guys, like I like that like fresh, restorative sort of feeling. I do like to do like a refreshing spring clean. Like I love to like open up all of the windows, open up the door, let in like a bunch of sunlight, because we have a tendency to be very like cut off inside. We keep all the windows like closed, the blinds closed, the curtains closed, whatever, the door closed. And that was a lot easier to do at my last apartment, because we had a screen door. None of my other apartments have ever had screen doors, so like you can't just leave the door open. Well, I guess you could, but I have pets, and also Texas has a lot of bugs, and I really, really, really don't like bugs, so don't really do that. But yeah, like opening up everything, and I love the smell of like cleaners and stuff. Like it just feels clean and refreshing. So yeah. Yes, I do spring clean. And then the last question, number 10, do you go anywhere for spring break? Last year, my sister and her hubby and my nephew came and visited us for spring break, and we did like a little local vacation. So we went around probably within like an hour and a half or so. Depends on traffic and stuff like that, but like within like an hour and a half or so in different ways, to different places, and did like the vacation experience. And they're actually coming again this year for spring break, which I've talked about, and I'm super excited. They're going to be here next month. Literally so stoked. Can't wait. And we're going to be doing a similar thing, but now we have like kind of a short list, because we absolutely cram packed that whole entire week that they were here. We were just like running, like trying to fit everything in and do all the things. And like, of course we still didn't even do all of the things. But we fit a lot of stuff in. and we had a ton of fun, but everybody was like so exhausted, and we were like, okay, next time we want some more chill time. So this time we're actually going to be doing a little bit less, and I think that'll give us more time to kind of enjoy it and not be running from place to place and getting really, really exhausted. But we're going to be doing another little vacation in this area, so kind of a staycation for us. Last time we did one night in Houston where we got a hotel, and we got this like really fancy bougie hotel because they had a Texas shaped lazy river, and we learned that that was not worth it, but we got some cool pictures out of it. So we just try to be like, oh yeah, you know, it was for the photo ops, because oh my gosh, that hotel was so expensive, and it was not a great hotel. Like, I would have rather just been at like a Holiday Inn Express. Like, I much would have rather been there. It was just not a great hotel. But apparently, according to some of the staff, told my husband when he was getting towels or something, they were like chit-chatting, and she said that it's more of like a businessman hotel, and people who are getting their hotel paid for like by work, and less of a like, oh gosh, like luxury hotel, which is what they present as. It looked like, you know, this would be like a luxury hotel, so it was worth it kind of thing. And she said that they have to pay for parking. The workers have to pay for parking. And the parking was expensive. Like, if they only do valet, and then you had to pay $20 for the valet. If you didn't want valet parking, you couldn't park at the hotel. So we had to park like a block over or something, and my husband walked and got the car and stuff so that we could, like, you know, get all the luggage out and everything. Yeah, it was not a great hotel. But yeah, so we did one night in Houston, which it was still fun to do the night in Houston. We still had fun with the lazy river and stuff, but the rest of it, Caleb and I actually slept at the house. We would just come home at night, sleep here, get up and go and pick them up at their little hotel. And they just did like a little cheap hotel because it makes, you know, the rest of the vacation affordable. Well, they're going to do that again this year, but we're also doing a couple nights at a beach house, which we have been paying on and getting all prepared over the course of like the last 6 months. And so we are super stoked. And we're going to be having, like crafty time, and we're planning on doing some painting at the beach type of vibes, like just trying to like really make it feel special. And I am super excited to see my sister, and super excited to see my nephew, and super excited to see my brother-in-law. I am going to have so much fun. I can't wait. But yeah, so that was the, Spring Fling 2023 questions and creator tag. I am supposed to tag 10 people, I think, is what she said. Yeah, it looks like 10 people that she tagged. She tagged a lot of the same people that I would tag. So I'm actually just going to say, if you would like to do this tag, if you would like to make a video with it, consider yourself tagged. I am open tagging you. So feel free to say that you were tagged by me if you would like to, because I tag you. Yes, you watching, you're tagged if you would like to do it. And also, as always, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you would like to answer these questions, you can feel free to answer them in the comment section. I will copy and paste the list of questions and put it in the description box so that you can have it for easy reference. And also, don't forget, what do you like to do in the spring that you can't do other times of year? I really want to know if anybody has anything like that you can't do other times of year for spring, because I can't think of anything. I'm like, what would that be? Other than, like, you know, certain plants that you plant in the spring or something. I don't know. Anyway, I am going to get to whipping for my WIP Wednesday. Let me know what you guys are working on this WIP Wednesday, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow, and don't forget, Friday is Community Spotlight, so if you are working on anything and you would like to send in pictures of your finished makes or your almost finished makes, I don't mind if they're not all the way finished, go ahead and send me pictures. My email is in the description box, and there's no limit. You can send me all your projects. I don't care. You can send as many as you want. Let me know what name you'd like me to use, and if you have any blurbs, any information that you want to share, go ahead and include that as well, and then I will edit it all together for Friday's Community Spotlight. So, I love you guys so much, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Mwah! Bye!